March 1930. A 60-year-old man in a simple white cloth walks 240 miles to the ocean to make salt. Just salt. The British Empire watches, the world watches, and by the time he bends down and picks up that handful of mud and crystallized sea salt on April 6th, he's basically defeated one of the most powerful empires in history without throwing a single punch. How? Because Mohandas Gandhi was born October 2nd, 1869 at 7:45 a.m. in Porbandar, India, with his sun, rising sign, Mars, and Mercury all in Libra. This man was so Libra, he literally weaponized fairness. And the craziest part, his Mars in Libra means he was a warrior who fought by refusing to fight. The British had no idea what hit them. We're about to see how a Libra stellium took down an empire through the most Libra strategy imaginable, making the oppressor see their own injustice reflected back at them like a mirror. And wait till you see what his Leo moon was doing during all of this. Okay, before we get into how Gandhi's chart predicted literally everything about his strategy, hit subscribe if you're obsessed with historical figures through astrology, drop a like if you're ready for this story, and real talk. Would you rather have Gandhi's Libra sun dedication to justice, knowing it requires his level of self-sacrifice, or would you pass because the personal cost is too high? Comment below because I genuinely want to know where you stand on this. So let's talk about this chart because it's absolutely wild. Gandhi was born October 2nd, 1869, 7:45 a.m. in Porbandar, India. Sun in Libra, in the first house, Libra rising, Mars in Libra, Mercury in Libra. This is a Libra stellium that basically said his entire identity would be about balance, justice, and creating equilibrium even in the most violent situations. The first house is your identity, who you are at your core, and Gandhi's core was justice itself. When you have Sun and Rising both in Libra, you don't just believe in fairness. You are fairness. Your presence screams diplomacy. People look at you and see a peacemaker before you even open your mouth. But here's where it gets interesting. Mars in Libra. Mars is the warrior planet, right? Aggression, action, how you fight. In Libra, Mars doesn't throw punches. Mars in Libra fights through fairness. It fights by holding up a mirror to show the opponent their own brutality. It's the most strategic, patient, psychologically brilliant fighting style in the zodiac because it makes the aggressor defeat themselves. Venus in Scorpio gave him that intense, transformative love for humanity, willing to suffer, willing to transform through physical sacrifice. Moon in Leo. This is crucial. Leo moon needs to be seen, needs to lead, has that dramatic flair, and understands how to stage a movement for maximum emotional impact. Mercury in Libra made every word he spoke about balance and justice. And Saturn in Sagittarius? That gave him the philosophical discipline and moral authority that made him impossible to argue with. The Libra quality that defined everything about Gandhi's life? Seeking equilibrium, even in conflict. Most people think Libra is just about keeping the peace, but that's surface level. True Libra understands that oppressor and oppressed are both trapped in a cycle, and the only way to break it is ahimsa, non-violence, satyagraha, truth force. Mars in Libra doesn't fight with fists. Mars in Libra fights with fairness, forces the opponent to see their own injustice. Classic Libra genius. Gandhi was born into a wealthy family. His father, Karamchand, was the Dewan, basically the chief minister of Porbandar. Political family, privilege, respect. But young Mohandas was shy, restless. Kind of unremarkable, honestly. His sister said he was either playing or roaming about, twisting dogs' ears. Libra rising children can seem indecisive, scattered, trying to find their balance. At 13, he married Kasturba in an arranged marriage, which was totally normal for the time. She was also 13. They grew up together, and Kasturba would become absolutely crucial to his work later. Here's what's interesting about his childhood. He was deeply affected by the stories of Shravana and King Harishchandra, these Indian classics about truth and self-sacrifice. Mercury in Libra absorbs stories about justice and morality like a sponge. He wrote in his autobiography that these stories left an indelible impression. He'd act them out, testing himself against these ideals of truth. That's Libra Sun in the first house, forming its identity around moral principles from day one. At 18, Gandhi left for London to study law. Venus in Scorpio transformation of identity incoming. He tried to be a proper Englishman, dressed the part, studied Western culture, became a vegetarian, which wasn't about the food, really. It was about moral principles, about ahimsa. Libra doesn't just live values, Libra embodies them. During his time in London, that Libra rising shyness persisted. He joined a public speaking group just to overcome it, which is so Libra, recognizing a weakness and addressing it through practice and balance. 1891, he returned to India with his law degree and totally failed to build a successful practice. He couldn't find his footing. Then, in 1893, age 23, he accepted a one-year contract with an Indian merchant firm in South Africa. Just a clerk position, legal work. He had no idea this would be the catalyst for everything. Okay, so here's where Gandhi's chart activates. June 7th, 1893. He's on a train from Durban to Pretoria, first-class ticket in hand because he could afford it. A white passenger enters the compartment, sees Gandhi, and immediately calls the railway officials. They tell Gandhi to move to the third-class compartment. Gandhi shows his ticket. First class, valid. They don't care. He refuses to move, so they throw him off the train at Pietermaritzburg station. Middle of winter, freezing cold. His overcoat was in his luggage, but he didn't dare ask for it in case they humiliated him again. He spent the night in the waiting room, shivering, alone. And this is the moment. Libra Sun cannot accept inequality when they see it directly. Cannot. It offends their entire existence. Libra needs balance, needs fairness, needs justice. Gandhi sat in that waiting room and something crystallized. Mars in Libra doesn't fight back immediately. Mars in Libra thinks, strategizes, decides how to fight through fairness itself. That night, Gandhi made a choice. He could go back to India, or he could stay and fight this injustice. Venus in Scorpio said, stay and transform everything. Mars in Libra said, I'll fight, but not with violence. Leo Moon said, I'll make this visible. He stayed for 21 years. In South Africa, Gandhi faced racism constantly. Indians couldn't own property except in specific areas, couldn't vote, couldn't walk on pavements without passes, were treated as second class, barely human. And Gandhi, Libra Stellium Gandhi, started organizing. In 1894, he founded the Natal Indian Congress to fight for Indian rights. This is where Satyagraha was born. Truth Force, nonviolent resistance, Mars in Libra's ultimate weapon. Here's why this is so astrologically perfect. Traditional Mars says fight violence with violence, beat them down, overpower them. Mars in Libra says no, we fight by refusing to cooperate with injustice. We fight by making them see their own brutality. We fight by being willing to suffer rather than inflict suffering. It's psychological warfare at the highest level. The oppressor can't maintain power if the oppressed refuses to react with violence because violence justifies more violence. Libra breaks the cycle by holding up the scales and saying, look at the imbalance you're creating. During the Anglo-Boer War in 1899, Gandhi formed the Indian Ambulance Corps, helped the British, which confused people. But Venus in Scorpio was playing a longer game. Show them Indians are loyal, are worthy, deserve equality. When that didn't work, Saturn in Sagittarius gave him the philosophical discipline to pivot. He started Indian Opinion newspaper in 1903, publishing articles on civil rights. Mars in Libra fights through words and organization. Then in 1906, the Transvaal government tried to force all Indians to register and carry passes. Gandhi organized the first major Satyagraha campaign, mass civil disobedience. Thousands of Indians refused to register. Gandhi was imprisoned, released, imprisoned again. This happened 4 times in South Africa. He emerged stronger because Leo Moon knows how to turn suffering into theater, into a statement. The craziest story? 1908. Gandhi reached a compromise with General Smuts, the South African leader. Voluntary registration instead of forced. Some Indians thought he sold out. A man named Mir Alam Khan attacked Gandhi, beat him nearly to death. And Gandhi refused to press charges, forgave him immediately. That's Libra Sun at the evolved level. Even when personally attacked, seeking reconciliation over revenge, which is either the most spiritually enlightened thing ever or the most frustrating Libra behavior depending on your perspective. By 1913, Gandhi launched the Volkrust Satyagraha. Women led the movement. Kasturba, his wife, was imprisoned. Gandhi was imprisoned. Thousands participated. The British-led government tried shooting protesters. And finally, General Smuts gave up. Passed the Indian Relief Act in 1914, removing discriminatory laws. Mars in Libra won by refusing to fight violently. They defeated themselves trying to suppress people who wouldn't fight back. Gandhi returned to India, and he came back as the Mahatma, the great soul. Rabindranath Tagore, the poet, gave him that title. Gandhi hated it, honestly, because Libra's sun doesn't want to be elevated above others. But Leo Moon understood the power of being a symbol, the irony of a man who rejected titles becoming defined by one. For a year, Gandhi traveled India, wore simple cloth, a dhoti, and sandals, because Venus in Scorpio was transforming him into one with the masses. He founded the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad, lived there for 16 years with his family and followers, creating a community based on truth and nonviolence. Remember that Libra stellium? It's about to become the British Empire's worst nightmare. Champaran, Bihar. Indigo farmers were being exploited by British planters, forced to grow indigo instead of food crops. Gandhi went there, investigated, documented everything. Mercury in Libra, gathering facts, building the case. He organized the farmers into his first Indian satyagraha, and they won. The exploitation stopped. This made Gandhi a national figure because he proved his method worked. Then 1920, the non-cooperation movement. Gandhi convinced millions of Indians to boycott British goods, British schools, British courts, British everything. Just stop cooperating with the system. Mars in Libra refusing to participate in injustice. It paralyzed the British administration in places, but in February 1922, something happened that shows Gandhi's Libra sun at maximum power. At Chauri Chaura, a crowd attacked and burned down a police station, unaliving 22 policemen. Gandhi immediately called off the entire movement. Everyone was furious with him. The movement was working, but Gandhi said no. The moment we use violence, we've lost. We become what we're fighting against. Libra sun will sacrifice victory to maintain principles. It's not about winning by any means. It's about winning the right way or not at all. Gandhi was arrested, tried for sedition, sentenced to 6 years. He served about 2 before release. During this time, he fasted a lot. The fasting strategy is pure Libra sun. Use your own body as the scales. Threaten self-harm to restore balance, to make others examine their conscience. Venus in Scorpio made him willing to suffer, to transform through physical sacrifice. And it worked. When Gandhi fasted, riots stopped. Enemies reconciled. Because watching someone starve themselves for peace forces people to confront their own violence. Peak Libra guilt trip, honestly. Okay, so now we get to 1930, the Salt March. This is peak Libra genius. Peak Mars in Libra strategy. Peak Leo Moon theatricality. Listen to this. The British had a monopoly on salt. Indians couldn't make their own salt. Had to buy expensive, heavily taxed British salt. For the poorest Indians, this was crushing. Gandhi looked at this situation and had a revelation. Salt affects everyone. Rich, poor, Hindu, Muslim, everyone needs salt. If I break the salt law, millions can join me. It's simple enough that anyone can participate, and it exposes British injustice perfectly. Mercury in Libra, finding the issue that represents the bigger imbalance. So let me get this straight. The man chose salt. Not weapons, not territory, salt. And used it to dismantle an empire. That's either the most brilliant strategy in history or the most Libra thing that ever happened. Probably both. March 2nd, 1930. Gandhi wrote to the Viceroy Lord Irwin. Very polite letter. Mercury in Libra being diplomatic even while threatening civil disobedience. Said, hey, we're going to break your salt laws in 10 days unless you repeal them. No response. March 12th, 1930. Gandhi left Sabarmati Ashram on foot with 78 followers. Destination: Dandi on the Arabian Sea coast, 240 miles away. He was 60 years old, suffering from varicose veins, and he walked. Every day they stopped in villages. Gandhi spoke about injustice, about self-reliance, about dignity. Leo Moon knowing exactly how to stage this for maximum impact. Every day, more people joined. By the time they reached Surat, 30,000 people were waiting. The march became 3 kilometers long. Foreign journalists were there, newsreel cameras. The New York Times wrote about it almost daily. Gandhi became an international figure because Leo Moon understands spectacle. This wasn't just a march. It was a statement. It was a 240-mile symbol of Indian dignity walking to the sea to reclaim their right to salt. April 5th, 1930. They reached Dandi. Tens of thousands of people gathered. The next morning, April 6th at 8:30 a.m., Gandhi walked to the beach. The police had crushed the salt deposits into mud trying to prevent this. Didn't matter. Gandhi bent down and picked up a small lump of natural salt from the mud. And that was it. Law broken. Empire defied. Mars in Libra fighting through the simplest, most symbolic act of civil disobedience possible. The man picked up salt and changed history. Think about that for a second. Within hours, millions of Indians across the country were making salt, selling salt, breaking the salt laws. The British arrested nearly 60,000 people. Gandhi wrote to the Viceroy again, said he planned to raid the Dharasana salt works, and on May 4th, midnight, they arrested him. Days before the planned raid, May 21st, the raid happened anyway. Sarojini Naidu, the poet, led 2,500 marchers to Dharasana. British-led Indian police met them. And here's where you see the power of satyagraha. The marchers walked forward. Police beat them with steel-tipped clubs. Marchers didn't fight back, fell, were dragged away. More marchers walked forward, were beaten, fell. More walked forward for hours. American journalist Webb Miller recorded it. The images went worldwide. The brutality was undeniable. Libra held up the mirror and the world saw British injustice. Gandhi was in prison during this, but his strategy was working. The British couldn't suppress nonviolent protesters without looking like monsters. Venus and Scorpio's willingness to suffer exposed their violence. Mars and Libra won by refusing to give them an enemy they could fight honorably, which is the most frustrating opponent imaginable if you think about it. How do you fight someone who won't fight back? You just end up looking like a bully. Libra knew exactly what they were doing. January 1931. Gandhi was released. He negotiated with Lord Irwin, the Viceroy. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Civil disobedience ended in exchange for negotiations about India's future. Libra's son, seeking compromise, seeking the path forward. But the negotiations in London didn't lead to independence yet. The British still weren't ready. World War II was happening. Gandhi launched the Quit India movement, told the British to leave immediately, his most radical demand yet. The response? The British arrested basically the entire Congress leadership. Gandhi and Kasturba were imprisoned in the Aga Khan Palace in Pune, and then in 1944, Kasturba passed away in prison. Gandhi's partner of 62 years, Venus in Scorpio loss, the kind that transforms you at the deepest level. Shortly before, his private secretary Mahadev Desai had also passed. Gandhi was devastated, but Saturn in Sagittarius kept him grounded in his larger purpose. August 15th, 1947. India achieved independence. After 200 years of British rule, it was over. Gandhi's non-violent movement worked. Mars in Libra defeated an empire through fairness, through moral authority, through making oppression unsustainable. Martin Luther King Jr. studied Gandhi's methods. Nelson Mandela studied Gandhi. The entire world learned that you can fight injustice without becoming what you're fighting. But here's the tragedy. Independence came with partition. India was divided into Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan. Communal violence exploded. Libra's son's worst nightmare, the division, the imbalance, the bloodshed between groups. Gandhi was heartbroken. As many as 1 million people were unalived in the violence, 11 million displaced. Gandhi fasted again, January 1948, his last fast, trying to stop Hindu-Muslim violence in Delhi. After 12 days, representatives from all communities signed a statement promising peace. The fast ended, but Venus in Scorpio knew darkness was coming. January 30th, 1948. Gandhi was late to his evening prayer meeting. He'd been in a conference and was hurrying up the steps. Natharam Godse, a Hindu extremist, approached. Gandhi thought Gandhi was too sympathetic to Muslims, too willing to compromise. He pulled out a pistol, shot Gandhi 3 times at close range. Gandhi fell. His last words were, "Hey, Ram." Oh God, the ultimate Libra sacrifice, trying to create peace between 2 sides, and a person from one side ends him because they couldn't accept balance. Mars in Libra fought for justice until his final breath. Died trying to stop the violence his own success had indirectly caused through partition. January 31st, roughly 1 million people followed Gandhi's funeral procession through Delhi. His body was cremated on the banks of the Jumna River. The world mourned, but his philosophy lived on. Here's what makes Gandhi's chart so powerful. Only a Libra stellium could weaponize fairness like this. Only Mars in Libra could turn refusing to fight into the most effective fighting strategy in history. Venus in Scorpio gave him the intensity to endure decades of struggle, imprisonment, physical sacrifice for transformation. Leo Moon gave him the understanding that movements need visibility, need drama, need a leader people can rally around. Mercury in Libra made every word about balance and justice. Saturn in Sagittarius gave him unshakable moral authority. Gandhi proved that Libra Sun doesn't avoid conflict. Libra Sun redefines conflict, makes it about who can maintain the moral high ground, who can embody justice. And when you fight that way, with Mars in Libra's patient, strategic, psychologically brilliant approach, you don't just win battles. You change how the world thinks about power itself. His birthday, October 2nd, is now the International Day of Nonviolence. The legacy of a Libra who understood that real strength isn't domination. It's balance. It's making the scales so obviously tipped that the oppressor has to either change or be revealed as a tyrant. Gandhi's Libra stellium looked at the British Empire and said, "I'm not going to fight you with violence, I'm going to fight you with fairness, and I'm going to win because fairness is more powerful than any weapon you have." And that's what happens when a Libra refuses to let injustice stand. When Mars in Libra picks its battlefield carefully. When Venus in Scorpio commits to transformation no matter the personal cost. When Leo Moon stages the movement so the world has to watch. When Mercury in Libra speaks truth into every situation. When Saturn in Sagittarius grounds it all in unshakable principles. Gandhi changed warfare forever, proved you can defeat empires through moral authority, through making oppression unsustainable, through satyagraha, truth force, the most Libra concept ever created, and his chart predicted all of it. The peaceful warrior, the diplomat who wouldn't compromise on justice, the man who made an entire empire defeat itself by holding up a mirror to its own brutality.